Hello! Welcome to the Journey to the Microcosmos Patreon live stream. It's Hank and Matt and Jem and James and Deboki. Hello, how are all of you doing? Matt, do you want to tell us why we've gathered here today?
Yes, because you've already accidentally misspoken, so I will correct that.
What did I do?
I know that you said it was
okay. Yeah. Well, all of them are Patreon live streams because where would we be without them?
Yeah, that's a good cover. So yes, it is not a Patreon exclusive live stream. It is there on the YouTube channel right now. Thank you, everyone who's watching right now. But yeah, we are here kind of just to hang out, answer some questions, and look at some microbes. But we're also here as sort of a celebratory thing because we recently hit our 2-year anniversary on the channel, and also our 100th video, which makes sense when you're doing weekly videos that those two things are close together.
Yep.
But yeah, both of those things are very exciting.
Indeed. Thank you. And also, we've got 2 microbes over here. James is, as we speak, controlling the view of these, which we can you tell us a little bit about what are we looking at?
So these are some predatory single-cell organisms called the leptus, and we are watching them just eat something at the moment. It's just eating now, actually. Like, okay, it's got
just there.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just minding their own business, and they don't care about us. So they're just enjoying.
So
is
the tail the front end?
Yeah, the tail, the front end.
Got it.
Yeah, it's called the proboscis. It's a really cool name, actually. Yeah, it's eating another thing. Yeah, it just gone. So yeah, it's that proboscis is armed with many toxin ejecting extrusomes. So when they touch something, these things are just getting fired, and they are just killing the prey, and then there's a mouth right under that that elephant thingy. Yeah, and then there.
Yeah, it does. It looks like an elephant. It even has like a little elephant-like eye sort of situation going on. That's, I assume, just a vacuole or something. But
yeah, it's a food vacuole. It's what it just ate. Yeah.
It's whatever I just ate. Okay. Well, it looks like they got plenty to eat, and I guess there's a bunch of them on there. Is this a colony that you have are growing and keeping alive and healthy?
So yeah, last week I collected some samples from like City Fountain, and they were there. And then I'm just trying to set a culture. Because like at the moment I have a couple of projects with many different microorganisms, and I'm trying to culture them in my bathroom, and because that's the coolest and the most suitable place for microbes, let's say. And I'm so sorry, my cats started the Zoom just right now, and yeah, so I have many of them, and one interesting thing about them, actually, you're just gonna see it now. Yeah, so they recognize each other, which is something really fascinating. They are not harming each other. It's like, otherwise they would just kill themselves accidentally every time their like proboscis touches their body. It would just sorry, I keep track of the yeah. And so they're recognizing each other, and which is something absolutely amazing. And we don't know much about this
jellyfish work this way too, and we're not sure how they do it. Like jellyfish, like the way that the nematocysts work is that they just fire upon mechanical stimulation, and so they will sting anything they touch except themselves and other jellyfish. And how do they know? We don't know, which is pretty freaking cool.
I wanted to jump in just to say that we should introduce ourselves. We have not done that yet.
That was my initial plan, but then I got distracted by.
Understandable.
Yeah, so we need to say like who we are real quick and just what we do here on the channel. Sure. So Hank, you want to start?
Sure. Hello, I'm Hank Green, and this is what I do as part of the channel. And I originally also created the channel to have it be a thing. But mostly now I just talk into the microphone. James and I met a while ago because I loved his YouTube videos, and we decided to make a YouTube channel together, and we put together this little team. So that's what I do.
Cool. James, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the guy behind the Microscope. I just do microscopy all day, every day for I think 4 years right now, and we're doing this show for 2 years. And yeah, I go out, collect samples every day, and I come home, then record some videos, and we come up with some episode ideas, and we make some cool things for you to watch.
Yeah.
You also recently, I have it right here, released a book,
Oh yeah.
The Hidden Beauty of the Microscopic World, which is very cool.
Yes.
So everyone should check that out as well. Devoki, what do you do?
Mostly I write for the show, so the words that happen that Hank says, I will write them. And then now I also sometimes host the show. I don't have my microphone with me, so I can't do my impression of hosting, but that is my other newer role on the show.
Nice.
And Matt,
and
who are you?
I'm Matt. I am a producer / editor on the channel, who edits all the videos that you see and watch, and then also works with these people behind the scenes to make sure that we all, get stuff done, and that we all do our jobs.
Yeah, Matt is the guy behind the deadlines.
Matt keeps us all in line.
Yeah. I never miss a deadline. Everyone knows that about me. I'm never creating huge problems for everyone else. I almost recorded my audio for our not our next episode, but the next one that hasn't been recorded yet, yesterday. But then my son was having too much fun outside, and I listened back to the audio, and I was like, you can hear the screaming.
Yeah, I think a child screaming isn't necessarily the relaxing background noise that people are used to on the channel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it is the actual sound that microbes make.
Yeah, maybe.
Being close enough.
If you get, that's how they know not to fire upon each other. You hear each other screams.
Hey, don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly,
stop now.
If I was seeing, the leptos just coming towards me, I would be screaming as well.
Oh, I would totally scream. That's if I was the size of one of those guys that's getting eaten right now. Who are those? Who is getting eaten right now, James?
I don't remember their most recent name, but they're algae called Chilamonas. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but yeah, they're algae without the chloroplast, so they are just hanging out there, and they reproduce super fast. So many organisms, they just feed on them, and yeah, but there should be some bigger things here, and so I want to show some Dileptus hunting something bigger. So I'm sorry if I'm giving you guys motion sickness right now. Just going through the slide, which is a really big slide. If you're
How easy is it for you to remember, like, if you're like going all around a slide, how easy is it to remember, like, if you saw something and you want to go back to it?
Like that depends. So this slide, I prepared this like 2 days ago. So there are some biofilm growing. So there are like some landmarks, let's say, like there's like, there's no street name, but there's like, for example, this thing. I don't know what's this. This is just like some bacteria, some debris, something, So I know where's this thing just located, and it just so if I see something interesting here, like half an hour later, I just come back here, look for this thing, and check around. But also they are moving quite often, so so it's like you just need to go through everything super fast with your lowest magnification, which is 50x right now. So we can just, like, it takes a couple of minutes to go through the whole slide. But there's one important trick, actually, because when you're interested in this Dileptus, there's something really rare just happening on the other side of the slide. So that's the risk that you have to take when you're just recording this thing. So my biggest distractions are diatoms. So they are just, because I love them so much, they look so beautiful. So I'm just seeing something super rare, you know, one of a kind, and then I'm just like trying to take a look at the slide and see if there's something else, and then I'm just getting distracted with a diatom, and you know, at the end of the day, I have like 8 hours of diatom footage and like 8 minutes of this rare thing, and I'm like, my fiance knows it, and I'm like, why didn't I record this for, you know, for longer? It's just I have like just 20 seconds of it, and yeah, I have like hours of diatom footage. Just, but they're so beautiful, you know. What, like, what can I do? It just distracted me. Yeah.
We have some questions coming in from the chat and from Patreon and a bunch of places that I wanted to get to. One that I feel like is just some of these we can knock out a little faster than others. Somebody asked how we decide on the topics to make videos on. Is it just what pops up? Is it something that we like plan out long term? And I will start with the short version, which is both.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know for me, it's at least like usually talking with James and Deboki pretty regularly about like, what do we want to make videos about? And also what can we make videos about? Because obviously people will ask us to make videos about certain things and it just is not possible. We like to make videos that we can firsthand like get the footage of. And there's just some things that James doesn't have access to, or that our microscope won't allow us to see because they're itty bitty. And so, yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know if James and Deboki or Hank have any more thoughts on that, but.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we will have, like, we have a number of ideas that have been sort of sitting around for a long time that we haven't been able to get the right angle on, or we don't have the right footage for it, or something like that. But the usually we'll have an idea, and within a month, that thing will exist. Does that sound right, Deboki?
Yeah, I think especially like we start out with like, oh, we have this like beautiful footage. What's like the story that we can tell? And sometimes that's where it's like we'll talk in the meetings, and then I'll like go in and do the research and see if there's anything else we can kind of expand on and figure out from there like what's going to be, because there's both like the big picture topic of like, oh, we're going to talk about this microbe, but then we have to like actually pick something to talk about with the microbe. Like topics are actually much more specific than just everything about the microbe. So that's where a lot of it helps to like talk it out with each other and see like what's the thing that we're finding most interesting, what's kind of the thing that gives us the most to talk about that we can even maybe show with the video, and that's kind of where a lot of the fun challenge is.
Yeah, and somebody else asked sort of along those lines. I think it ties in to when we were talking about like the timeline there of like it taking about like a month from idea to script. And at this point, we're also about a point like where the script is done about a month before the video's on the channel. So it's kind of like from idea for a video to it being live on the channel is about 2 months at this point, which is a nice little cushion. But it also, I think somebody else asked in the chat, how do we all work together with like different communication and learning styles, which obviously is a huge question that we could spend the entire hour talking about. But I think one thing that has helped our small team is communicating about like what kind of schedules work for each person. And so like some of us work week to week on deadlines. Some of us work every 2 weeks. Some of us work like every 4 weeks turning in stuff. And so it like finding what works best for each person and then how those different deadlines come together to like make the channel work properly, which is like, I think worked out really well for all of us to sort of be able to work on our own schedules while still coming together to make a video every single week.
And we don't.
And again, Matt is the person who has figured that out for us.
Yeah. We're now at the point where we do not too often end up in a situation where we don't have something to put on the channel on the day when we're supposed to.
Yes,
that has happened.
And that is it's literally staring at a calendar, and if one little thing changes, me going back like, okay, hold on, I'll get back to you in an hour with an answer of how this will work. But it usually works out.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess a question for you, James. Somebody asked, basically, Charles Underwood on Patreon asked, are you ever concerned about like more harmful microbes? And how do you take precautions to not get sick while you're collecting your samples?
Honestly, no, because like every time I go out for sampling, especially in in the summer, it's like there's some kids just swimming where I collect my samples. It's like, the chances of me getting something dangerous, it's really, really low while I'm just working on, like just on slides and stuff. So, so if I have cuts or something, I try not to collect samples like without gloves or something. But usually I'm not concerned about it. And couple of weeks ago, I collected some samples, and there were these parasites that can cause the swimmer's itch stuff. So, and they were like a bunch of kids were just jumping into the pond, like from where I collect the sample, and they were like looking at me like I'm just a crazy guy. But I was looking at them in the same way because they were swimming there, and yeah, so.
Yeah, I got swimmer's itch recently, and can you see it on my arm still? I don't know that you can. I had a bunch of freaking itchy bumps because I got parasitic flatworms in my skin, but they die in there, so that's great. They don't like breed inside of you, so that's the good news. Do you ever see anything else that's like a human pathogen? Do you see like Giardia parasites or anything where you're like, look at that?
Like I think I saw some Giardia, but it's like I think it's hard to be sure without any other like staining or like molecular work or something. But like rather than our single cell eukaryote friends, I'm worried about the bacteria, because also the viruses. So it's just like you might not die in the end, but you might get like a couple of days really sick with stomach ache and so
well, and like most of these microbes, like if I ate a stentor or a tardigrade, like that's it's just a very small amount of food for me. They're not dangerous. I'm not gonna like breed inside of me. They hit the stomach acid, and that's sort of it for them.
Actually, I'm going to be working on this. I'm gonna be trying to make some like some alternative food sources from protests.
So are you gonna send it to me? Do I get to have a slice?
Taste test.
I'm gonna send you a stentor pancake. You can make bacon pancakes, and you can just sing the song from Jack the dog.
Oh man. It feels weird now. Like I know it's a thing, but like picturing like we're looking at these like stentors and everything like this on our channel all the time, and then just going like hump, like nomming down on a big old patty of them.
I mean it feels very wrong to like one of the things that we've thought about doing is since stentors can heal so easily to on camera cut a stentor and let it like heal itself, but it feels very wrong to do it while you're sort of watching. Whereas on the other hand, turning like 80 million stentors into a pancake and eating that does not, for some reason, bother me as much.
I want to jump in real quick just to do the quick little like promo stuff we should probably do while we have a captive audience.
Okay, do it.
One new exciting thing that just launched on Monday is our brand new T-shirt. It's our Tardigrade T-shirt. Which is very cool, designed by an artist friend of mine, Mercedes Tavish. There's a dark teal color and an ash color, which is like a light gray. And basically the idea is that we're doing a pre-order for the entire month, like the end of July here and the whole month of August. At the end of August, whichever one sold the most will continue to be in our store on dftda.com, and the other one will go away forever. And I will just say, looking at the early numbers, if you want an Ash one, you should get it now, because holy cow, is Teal kicking its butt.
We got the inside scoop on it, everybody. Whoa, what is that? So, somebody asked one of the questions. Let me see if I can find it, because I think that as somebody, David G asked, what is the smallest mushroom and what does mycelium look like? So I don't know if we are about to answer any of those questions. And also that appears to be moving right now, which is wild. What are we looking at?
Yeah. This are Foraminifera. So these are giant marine single-cell organisms.
Giant.
Yeah, no, but they can be a couple of centimeters, couple of inches. So they're quite big, you know. Yeah, and they're amoeboid organisms, so they have this false feet, pseudopodia. Let me see if I can. Yeah, can you see? It's like
no.
Just a second.
The microscope is a little behind the audio.
Yeah, it's like 15 seconds.
Yeah. I thought that that might be a mold with mycelium sticking on it, because that's kind of what mycelium looks like.
Well, don't worry, everyone, because right now Deboki is in the process of working on a script about fungus, molds, and spores. So actually, our season 5 opener, which will be August 30th, will feature mycelium.
All right, excellent.
We'll get into more detail.
But that is a single cell, like just like long strands of a single cell right there. That's freaking wild.
Yeah, and let me show it in lower magnification. Set everything up.
Not cause a problem. Oh, hello.
Not so giant now.
Okay, let me do some magic here. Digital zoom. Okay, we're getting there. Sorry, everybody. While the video is catching up, I'm going to get a fossil from here.
Ooh.
Oh my god, I have to jump so many tables. So these are Foraminifera 2. I have some fossils.
Little fossils.
So yeah, so they're around for like, I don't know, millions of years. I'm not sure if you can say anything, but yeah, and we made an episode about them.
And are they? So do they build their shells? Like, do they mineralize their own shells, or do they like find stuff and aggregate it?
It depends on the Foraminifera, but this one, it should be calcium carbonate, the shell, and it has this little rooms. You can see them. They look like ammonites. Yeah. So we are more familiar with that one. So, but there are some deep sea Foraminifera, which at least there's one species with opal shell, which is something really interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. Can you see the pseudopodia moving?
Yeah. And are those just out there collecting food?
Yeah. So we just extend these things and then just pull them back with, whatever stuck on them, mostly bacteria, but they sometimes eat diatoms, even some other like organisms like stentors. Not really stentors because these are marine organisms.
Right.
Stentors are freshwater, but yeah, they can eat big things as well.
Cool.
I want to jump in with some more of the questions we've been getting. One that I think here is for Deboki. Might not be easy to answer, but I did want to ask it here from a patron of ours. Basically says, you've written a lot of very poignant lines in the Microcosmos videos, and that they say brings tears to their eyes. How do you come up with them, and do you have a favorite?
They usually.
That's a really nice question.
Yeah, that's really nice. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Feels good to know I make people cry, I guess. Usually something will occur. Like sometimes some of those, I mean, I don't know if what I think of as poignant when I'm writing it is always what other people think of as poignant, but sometimes there are some sentences that kind of occur to you where you're like, oh, this is something like that is both something that I like the way it sounds, but it gets to like kind of an idea that I'm trying to express. And so like it helps me kind of structure what I'm going to write overall. But usually, yeah, it's just kind of something occurs to you. And then I think the other thing is a lot of lines I write with a lot of fear that like I'm overdoing it. But I think because of the way we're structured, we're really lucky where both like Matt and James will look over it and like see if I'm like not explaining anything correctly or anything like that. And then also Hank like will do his own round of editing while recording. So it's like it feels like a nice way to be able to just kind of try whatever you want with writing, because you know other people are gonna look at it, and there's sort of like a collaborative aspect to it, even if we're not always in the same room together when we're collaborating.
Yeah. So that sort of allows for a greater risk taking. If you be like, you normally wouldn't think like, because that's one of the things about you know, more expressive language is that it does feel riskier. And like you could be, you might think like, oh, people are gonna think this is cringy, or are they gonna, if it's like too over the top, but to have it go through some rounds where you can sort of take the risk, and then if somebody along the way is like, maybe we should pull it back, then it's like, okay, but like, let's try, let's go for it. And a lot of times in online video writing, you don't get a lot of chance to do that, to make those statements. So this channel is nice for that reason.
Yeah,
I think we've set a nice tone that it fits in very nicely already.
Yeah.
Also, I think the topic is something that gives people some existential meaning. It's really, really nice to write about. I hope that's how you guys feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of the fun of working on the show, is it's not just like being like, oh, this is what microbes do. It's like, oh, like what is the other like thing that they make you think about, because they are kind of weird, and that's part of the fun of them.
So is this forum on the same slide as those other things were, or did you switch out a slide without us noticing?
I switched it. Do you want me to get back to the?
No, I just didn't think that those things lived in the same environment. So.
No. There, like I have 4 slides in front of me, so I'm just quickly switching between them.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
like, try to give the least motion sickness to our viewers. Yeah.
James, there's a question for you about like microbe hunting here. On Tyler from our Patreon asked, I've been hunting for water bears for ages and can't find them. I've been picking moss off of trees in my local forest and still can't find them. Anything I should look for in particular when searching for tardigrades?
They're definitely there. So I recommend him to check collect the moss first, then soak it in the water, and then shake it in the water. And because water bears, they don't actually swim, they just walk in the water. So they sink to the bottom of the dish you have. So try to collect that sediment, and they will be there. And if you cannot find them, just try different places, but they're pretty common. And like I collect them just from the tree just right in front of my house. So like after rain, I just go out with a syringe and I just suck some water in and come home, and I have like tens of tardigrades. But the key is just Just keep sampling. It's like, yeah, also like keeping a mental note, like you find it in the sediment or you find it in the, like, it's a really nice experience to just go out and sample all the time, because sometimes you will find stuff and sometimes you won't, and then you can just remember where you find stuff and you can just go back to that place instead of just looking for for the tardigrades in some other places. So
yeah,
it just keep sampling. Yeah,
I definitely have found in my limited beginnings into this that sometimes I'm like, well, this is going to be great, but then it's like, oh, that's all just filamentous algae. Like that's all I got. Just a lot of algae filaments, and
yeah, but
there's other stuff in there, but it just seems like you have such great cultures of just wild amounts of various things. But no,
I don't. I just sample more than you. That's why. So
I believe
that's the only reason. It's
I was gonna say, I think that's what people often don't understand when they might watch the channel, is how many hours of work James is putting in behind the scenes into not only collecting samples, but also how many hours a day he's sitting at his microscope to look through those samples and get the footage that you see. Like you might watch 8 minutes of footage a week, but that was like 60 hours of work on James's end.
I wish it was 60 hours. So some of the episodes we made, it's like they're like, for 4 years I'm sampling and we just want them just once, So it's like years of work, and it's just like, the key is just sampling. So just go out and sample, and and it's like I do it really quickly. Actually, I get these rental scooters, the city scooters you just rent with your mobile app, and I just zoom to the places where I often sample, and I collect samples, and I come back home in like 30 minutes with like, I don't know, 20 liters of sample. So it's just,
that's more than me.
Speaking of the home sampling and microscopy, Hank, do you have any updates on the Kickstarter microscope to provide?
We don't have a hard arrival time yet, but it has left China, which is the hardest part. So we got them, and it was a process. I think that ultimately we actually got pretty lucky because we got in under another sort of bottleneck and change that happened, where if we hadn't gotten it out when we did, or like within a few days of when we did, it would have been a few more weeks delayed. So it's out. It is. I think that it is arrived at the port of Los Angeles, but I think that it has not been taken out of the shipping container yet. So all of that process, because of how backed up global shipping is right now, everything is taking extra time. So like getting the container off of the ship takes extra time. Getting the ship into port takes extra time. Getting the microscopes out of the container onto a train or a truck to get here. So it is moving along, and like our window for when it's happening is narrowing to the point where like we have a much better idea of when things are actually going to arrive. But I don't have like a time when I'm like, and also we like one of the things we want to do is like know how long it's going to take us to actually physically, because we've never shipped out something like this before, physically get the things packaged up and mail them out to everybody, because it's like they're not all going to go out the same day. They're going to be spread over a couple of weeks probably, but it's looking good, and I'm just glad to know that it's in America. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I know that like you just said, there's like multiple pieces to this thing that have to arrive at the warehouse and they have to be assembled. So yeah, it's like
and we've got most of the pieces already. It's the microscope itself that is the last piece of the puzzle. Yeah,
and for those asking about like the extra things like the field guide and the filters and that stuff, that will come like with your package. Like you will receive the field guide when you receive your microscope. And for those asking about like, what's this Kickstarter? Why did I not hear about this? How do I get a microscope? That will come later after everyone else has gotten their microscopes. Then
exactly.
We'll figure out ways to get other people microscopes.
Yeah. But I think they can subscribe to the emailing list right now, right? Microcosmos.
Maybe.
Yes.
I
believe you are. Yeah. Yes, I believe you are accurate in that. If you go to microcosmos.store.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I don't know that anything has gone out there yet because obviously, as Hank just said, like this is a slow going process right now. And we don't know when that store will be a thing. But if you go there, you can put in your email address at microcosmos.store and you'll get alerted to when microscopes become available to the public. But obviously, number one focus is getting them out to the Kickstarter supporters.
Yeah, and Priscilla just asked if you could buy the field guide on its own. I would encourage you to because it's excellent. You can't right now, but you will be able to in the future. It was super helpful to me. I didn't have it as a physical thing, just as a PDF or the Google Doc, actually. But yeah, it was super, super helpful in my first venturing into the field.
Yeah, and I think our plan is, as of right now, to make most of that stuff available through the store. So like the things that were available through the Kickstarter should be available in some form later on through the store. But again, if you want to sign up at the microcosmos.store mailing list, that's how you'll be the first person to find out. And if you're one of the Kickstarter backers, you'll receive your updates through the Kickstarter update feature. So look at your inbox for those updates on shipping and things.
I've got a couple of things from the chat. Inkto Tanyi says, I'm glad that I caught you guys. I'm watching from Rwanda. So people are all over the world watching right now. We've also got a question from L. Dewey who asks, are those paramecia? What are those?
These are Blepharisma. They're
of course.
Yeah.
How could you not know?
This is actually how we met, right? It's like because Hank watched my Blepharisma video, and then we started the channel because
one of these had to be sacrificed for our channel to begin.
Yeah.
One of them exploded. Not sure why, but then
we don't know. Yeah.
We all the channel grew out of that one Blepharisma dying.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah. Cool. Just wanted to mention some more little promo things real quick. If you're not a Patreon supporter already, you can do that at patreon.com/journey-to-micro. That's what helps the channel exist. That's what, pays the bills, keeps the lights on. For those that don't know, at our Patreon, you can pay, there's two different tiers. We have a $2 and an $8 tier, and you get different rewards with that. With the $2 tier, you'll get our uncut, that's the word I was looking for, our uncut footage montage video that we put out once a month, which is essentially like a collection of footage over 4 or 5 videos that's like an hour long with just music, no narration. You can just put it on in the background and zen out. And then you also will get, if you're signed up at the $8 level, you'll get your name in the end credits, and you'll also get the weekly high-res wallpapers that you can use on your phone or your desktop or wherever you want to use them. And also you get access to our Discord, where people hang out and share their own microscopy or just ask questions about the channel and stuff. And you can get that at any level, any dollar amount you donate, you get access to the Discord. So yeah, thank you to all of you who support us on Patreon. We literally could not do it without you.
Yes, we're so lucky to have patronage, and so all of our supporters. All the people who aren't able to support, they're the reason that this thing exists. So I'm really happy to have everybody on board. James, what was that dot that's covered in bacteria?
There's an algae called Trichomonas.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be there, but I don't know how it got in there. so it's just like enjoying the microscope light because they are photosynthetic, and they have tiny shells around their cell, and that shell usually, like at the beginning, it's transparent, but because some compounds just seep into the shell and it makes it brown in time, like iron or manganese. It changes the color of the cell. Also, we are seeing right now, oh yeah, the bacteria is attracted to it because it's probably releasing some sugar through photosynthesis, because the photosynthetic organisms, they release sugar, and might be because of the oxygen, because under the cover slip, it's the oxygen content might be less than around the photosynthetic organism, and so bacteria just finding the optimal, most preferred place to just live.
Yeah.
So they're just getting concentrated around the photosynthetic organism.
There's just
So the edge that
sorry, Jaboki, you go.
the edge that everything's bouncing off of, is that the edge of the cover slip?
That's petroleum jelly.
Oh,
So
got
what I do for these slides, because I try to keep them for longer time, so I put like petroleum jelly on the corners, and I put them in the humidity chambers. So like in the humidity chamber, it loses some of the water, so the slide gets like thinner, and it might crush the microorganisms. So I'm putting this petroleum jelly, so it just like supporting the way of the cover slip, and they're surviving for a long time. So this slide, I think 1 week old. So I put these things 1 week ago here, and like we have the petroleum jelly here. Just gonna catch up in a second. So yeah, I was a bit generous here because I didn't want to kill the Pilopharisma. So it's a really, really big,
bunch of.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody was asking about that in the comments about basically you said you collected these things a week or 2 days ago or whatever like that, and how are you keeping them alive for those multiple days? And yeah, it seems like petroleum jelly and humidity chamber is the good combo there.
Yeah, but I have like a liter of them in my bathroom.
So also.
Yeah.
Do you ever have people come over that don't really know what's going on, and they walk in, they're like, "What's with all the jars, buddy?"
Oh, nobody comes to my house, so I'm just saving. I thought some people just joined the chat, just now. I didn't get that you're talking about my house. Yeah. I have soil samples. I have, I think, 60 bottles like stuck on top of each other in my bathroom as well. So it's like that would be a really weird thing to see. I think if you go to somebody's
just a lot
house.
of dirt. Well, yeah, you can't invite somebody over before they know what you do for a living. You can't.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Katie Kelly, who is a patron, who asks, what's the sort of minimum equipment a novice would need to dip their toes into microscopy? Also, what degree of magnification qualifies as microscopic? That's a good question. I don't think that there is an official line.
Yeah, but the standard microscopes come with, with the magnification from 40x to 1000x. So, and the microscope something is drying up. So,
that doesn't look good.
So just a couple of $100 would be enough to start as we started on our channel, I think. because we made the first 3 episodes of our channel with a $160 microscope that I built up from unbranded microscope pieces, like, yeah. So but it like the cost increases with, I don't know how to say it like nicely, but it's like this microscope doesn't cost $300. So
yeah, it's almost, it seems at times exponential, like the way I will talk to James about things where somebody asked in the chat actually, like, how do we get our upgrades? And the answer is money, like paying for them. And so that's where, like, obviously part of the Patreon money and the revenue from the channel and all this stuff, like, it goes towards those things, because yes, the price goes up very dramatically the moment you want to take, like, what might seem to some people on the outside like a small step up in quality. It is actually a huge step up as far as the technology goes or objective lenses goes, and especially as far as the price goes.
Yeah. So like a couple of weeks ago, I made a graph of the pens I owe versus the microscope upgrades I got. So like over the years, I got like 2 pairs of pens, but like my my microscope upgrade is like I think like 100 times more expensive than how I started. So
who needs more than 2 pairs of pants though?
Yeah, exactly.
You can also, like, there are now super inexpensive USB microscopes. They are different kind of so there's microscopes that shine light through the sample, and that's the way that microscopy is traditionally done. And then there are, just things that like take very high resolution magnified pictures, basically, of like I don't know what it's called. James, I'm sure knows what it's called when the light is shining down instead of through.
Reflected light microscopy.
Yeah. And you can get those. Now they're going to be not great.
They're magnifying glasses, honestly.
Yeah,
so
like and they're like I enjoy using mine for like watching ladybugs eat aphids, and like it's more of a, like, you can get a like good view of insects that you otherwise can't get a good view of. But I have and also, like, I just love to look at like pants and stuff and be like, wow, stuff's made of stuff. You don't really notice until you look really close.
You gotta take a close look at that one of your 2 pairs of pants.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Can't wait to write a script about pant 1 and then pant 2.
Very limited sample size. I got a quick lightning round question for everybody. What is your favorite microbe and why?
Also, I got a thunderstorm alert today, so it's like things going wild. Just I'm sorry about it. So.
Yeah, does anyone have a favorite microbe?
Amoebas, which is kind of cheating because there's a lot of amoebas.
It's also not even all related to each other.
Nope.
Yeah.
But anytime we have a script about an episode coming up about amoebas, I go in thinking, okay, this will be whatever, they're amoebas. And then like halfway through, I'm like, this is the most fun thing to write about.
Just something squishy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many ways to just be a blob.
Well, and especially when we get like super up close with amoebas and you're trying to understand how they move, and you just see all the little like particles inside of them moving into a new like leg that didn't exist a second ago, and you're just like,
so pretty. Yeah.
My brain can't really understand what exactly and how this is doing this thing, but it's
nobody
amazing up close.
does. So it's like it's okay.
There's a reason that things are compared to them when they are confusing.
Yep.
I like a rotifer. I love them. I love watching them run around, and then they find a nice spot, and then they just sit there and consume. I like that you can see they're like, they kind of have jaws, like very early, like mashers in their throats to squish stuff up, which I think is amazing.
Well, especially when you
don't
see them when they're like this, and then all of a sudden they just like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, my cat's throwing a hissy fit right now.
It's all right. We always have time for cats around here.
It's hard. James isn't going to pick a favorite microbe. There's no way.
Yeah, I love Lacromariol lore, and I also love tardigrades. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Hydra. They're just so cool to like watch the Hydra's arms just like sometimes like when I'm editing those videos, I just want to leave like a 3-minute long clip of one Hydra just like slowly moving, and I'm like, this is like, I think very interesting, but there are some people who might not want just 3 minutes of the same clip.
Yeah. Well, why was there a sudden current on your slide just then? What is happening?
Because some part of the slide is getting dry, so it's just like the water is just, just moving slightly.
And do you just add more water to keep it alive?
Yeah, I have to now. I have to. Otherwise, these bluffers are not gonna see another daylight.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a cute cat noise.
Cute because you're not the one getting yelled at.
There was some people asking about like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say also the gastroctrix are also great to look at.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I love. I think especially with our more recent microscope upgrades, like even the tardigrade stuff, like when you're looking at these things in like the 1000x magnification, and you're seeing the texture of the thing that you wouldn't necessarily expect or normally see. When like we did a recent clip of a tardigrade at 1000x where you can see like just little like divots in it, like a little like skin texture essentially going on. That like you don't. When you think of a tardigrade, you're not like thinking of these like little like pore like structures all along their skin. And I think it's the same with gastrotrix, where people have an idea of what a microbe is in their mind, and they see a gastrotrick and they're like, what is this weird spiky dragon thing?
Yeah. Maybe we can make an episode about them at 1000x. I think it would look really cool. Also, like I'm making some videos about their X development, so it takes like a couple of hours for the X to develop, and maybe we can just watch some cute little baby dragons just hatching.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that sounds amazing just there. I think we have our title already. Like, baby dragons hatching. Boom.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I also wanted to sort of like tease some upcoming videos we have coming down the pipeline for people so that you kind of know what to expect coming up. Something that doesn't matter to most people, but we have season breaks that happen in Microcosmos every 6 months. There's a season. It's just kind of, it doesn't really affect your viewing. We take maybe a week or two off in between, but it's just for more planning processes than anything. But our season 4 finale is coming up, and we're going to be talking about some Suctorian parasites that are super cool. And we've also got a Starlit Sea Anemone video coming up. And then in the next week's video is a Hematococcus video about these little red bloodberries and how when they get stressed out, they turn red and curl up into a ball because life is hard.
And they're coming from a cemetery.
Yeah.
Hey,
From a bird bath in a cemetery.
Respect.
Very specific location. Yeah.
Yes. No graves were disturbed for this video. But yeah, we have a couple other fun videos coming up in season 5, which I said starts on August 30th. We've got the fungus and mold one coming up. We've got some, I don't want to give away everything, but we're going to dive into the world of light a little bit more and sort of like our new microscopy techniques, and not only what they let us see, but also the effect that they have on the microbes that we are looking at, which can sometimes be quite negative. We're going to dive deeper into the intricacies of that. And
we'll see more Blepharisma in that episode.
Yes. Sorry to the Blepharisma featured in that episode.
Yeah. They're not going to be happy, but it's, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
So yeah, we only have a few minutes here left before we wrap up. These things fly by. So I wanted to just kind of go around and see. I guess one of the questions we got was asking if what haven't we talked about on the channel yet that you wish we could talk about, or you're hoping that we still can talk about in the future.
Panspermia.
Panspermia. Okay. I mean, the thing about the thing about tardigrades is that they're everywhere. And I asked this question to James recently. I was like, how in the world are tardigrades everywhere? And he's like, well, they just turn into spores and blow around. And so like there is a certain size at which things get too big to be everywhere. But like below a certain size, they just like get picked up by the wind and blown across oceans. And then you can have a species that is like literally the same species everywhere on Earth, which seems very like sort of counter to my understanding of evolutionary biology.
I think it's like under 1 millimeter size. It just because we made an episode about this already. It's like everything is everywhere, but the environment selects. So if organisms are under 1 millimeter, they disperse all over the world. But with tardigrades, it's there are some reports. I think it was Iceland, like in tardigrades were in snow, so they were like snowing. So you get tardigrades.
Right, they were in the
after
snow.
A snow, in the snow, and after a snowstorm, you just you get tardigrades everywhere because they were like wind blow them up in the atmosphere, and they were just dispersed like hundreds of kilometers, and then they just snowed all over the cars.
They're just they're in the sky. Yeah. There's tardigrades in the sky.
Yeah.
And we'll probably be talking about that. We have a small tease. I'm not going to give away everything. We have a video coming up that sort of talks about tardigrades in this way of them being in Antarctica and how like you can find the same tardigrades in Antarctica that you can find in Poland or Montana. And so we'll be diving into that idea a little bit more in season 5 as well. For me, I think one of the things that I still keep trying to make happen, and one day we will make it happen, is to talk more about the research done on the ISS with rotifers and tardigrades and all this stuff. They just recently had a big rotifer experiment going on up on the ISS. And yes, obviously they're not up there trying to capture beautiful footage to make YouTube videos. So they're not as worried about like the cinematography of their stuff. It's lots of stills and lots of things like that. So there's not a lot of footage available publicly of these things, but I would love to do a video that is talking about space.
Yeah, I have a better idea. Let's just send some tardigrades to space. Like,
I thought you were going to say send us to space.
Yeah, but it's like, I think it's a great crowdfunding idea. Let's just, when we get like 1 million subscribers, let's just send some tardigrades to outer space. And
they're not very heavy. It can't take that much energy, right?
Yeah.
Let's just get a big old weather balloon and tie some tardigrades to it. Boom, we're done.
Yep.
All right, well, we need to wrap up here. So before we go, I will quickly do the promo stuff again. We have the new tardigrade t-shirt available at dftba.com, available in ash and dark teal, and whichever one doesn't sell as well over the next month will go away forever. We have the Patreon, which is patreon.com/journeytomicro, where you can support the channel, and also James's book, The Hidden Beauty of the Microscopic World. You should go check that out as well. But yeah, anybody have anything else to say before we log off here?
Thank you to everybody who's hanging out, and thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon who make it so that we can do this very cool thing.
And thank you to Balafarisma as well. And
thank you to
I'm sorry in advance.
Yes, thank you to everyone who's watching, everyone who sent in their questions. Sorry we can't get to all of the questions. We just didn't have that much time. We got more than we expected, I think. Thank you to Paula, who's running this whole thing behind the scenes. Yeah.
Sweet.
Both of you have anything else?
Thank you.
No, thank you guys for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.